You know that button you're supposed to click on before unplugging a USB to remove it safely? Most people never use it, and nothing bad has ever happened. So what is Windows actually doing when you click that button? Does it actually even matter? Well, it's more complicated than that. And understanding why will explain a lot about how your computer actually handles files. Here's what most people think happens when you copy a file to a USB drive. You drag the file over, Windows copies it, the progress bar fills up, and when it says complete, the file is on the drive. Done. But that's not actually what happens. See, Windows uses something called write caching. When you copy a file to a USB drive, Windows doesn't immediately write it to the drive. Instead, it stores the data in RAM, your computer's temporary memory, and writes it in the background. This makes everything feel faster. The progress bar completes quickly and you can keep working. But the actual data transfer? That's still happening behind the scenes. It's like dropping a letter in a mailbox. You've sent it from your perspective, but the postal service hasn't actually picked it up yet. So when you click that button, what you're really doing is telling Windows, hey, finish writing everything that's still cached, and then tell me when it's actually safe to unplug. So what happens if you just yank the USB out without clicking that button? Well, if Windows hasn't finished writing the cached data, you're pulling the drive while data is mid-transfer. And that can corrupt files. Not the files already on your computer, those are fine, but the files you just copied, they might be incomplete, half-written, corrupted. You won't know immediately either. The file will show up on the USB drive. It'll have the right name, the right file size, but when you try to open it later, won't open. This is especially dangerous with documents, databases, or anything that needs every byte to be correct. Photos and videos might partially work, but text files and programs will just fail completely. But here's the thing, most of the time, yanking out the USB works fine. Why? Because modern Windows is actually pretty fast at flushing the write cache. For small files, the caching window might only last a few seconds. By the time you've grabbed your USB drive and pulled it out, Windows has probably already finished writing. And that's why people get away with it. There are situations where write caching is way more aggressive. Large file transfers, like copying gigabytes of video files. Or if your computer is under heavy load and Windows is caching more aggressively to keep things responsive. In those cases, you could finish the copy operation, and Windows might still be writing for 30 seconds to a minute after the progress bar disappears. And there's no way to tell from looking at it. The USB drive's LED might blink, but not all drives have LEDs. The File Explorer window shows the file as copied. Everything looks done, but internally, Windows is still writing. You have no idea whether it's safe unless you use that Safely Remove button. Here's what you need to understand. Safely Remove hardware isn't placebo. It's a real safety check. When you click it, Windows does three things. First, it finishes writing any cached data. Second, it makes sure no programs are accessing files on that drive. And third, it unmounts the drive so the file system is in a clean state. Only then does it tell you safe to remove. And yes, most of the time, you can get away with skipping it. Windows is fast enough that the write cache is usually empty by the time you physically unplug the drive, but usually isn't always. And the cost of being wrong is losing your files. So is it necessary? Technically, no, if you're willing to gamble. But the actual time cost is clicking one button and waiting 3 seconds. So here's the truth. Safely remove hardware does matter, not every time, but it does. And that's why you should probably just click the button.